got right on the limit line. You are perfectly straight, and you've given yourself room so that when you reverse, you don't have to worry about getting close to the curb, because bumping the curb is an automatic fail. All right, on a left turn, which way does your wheel face?
What do you mean?
It is, that one's a trick question. It faces straight.
You mean before we turn?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you never want to turn your wheels, because then if you get rear-ended, you get rear-ended right into traffic.
Hey, it's me, Jacqueline.
Hi, it's me, Emma.
Emma is my favorite student driver. She is my daughter, and I feel so lucky to be sitting here with her. So Emma is already a licensed driver, but we're sort of leaning into this idea that watching a student driver learn is helpful to other people. I'm curious, do you ever watch videos on YouTube to like learn from other people?
Definitely.
What are the kinds of things you look at?
Cooking videos, fixing things.
Nice.
Yeah, if there's a task that I'm trying to do and I could use a little guidance, mostly cooking.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's why I got that nice homemade soup the other day.
Oh yeah.
I really appreciated that. Yeah, so we're just thinking like there could be some people at home who are preparing for their driving test and they're needing some last minute support. So we're going to do a final prep for the driving test video. Yes. All right. So Emma, go ahead and roll down your window. We are going to start with the pre-drive checklist. So you're going to keep your hands on the wheel. You're going to imagine that the examiner is standing outside the window and they are going to call out all the car parts. They just want to make sure you know how everything works, and they're going to be looking around to make sure all your lights work. Okay? So I'm going to call out some things and you're going to respond. Okay. So
is the car usually on at this point?
Yep.
Okay, because you have to turn the...
You got it? Yes.
It feels wrong to be using gas, but that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so we're in idle, right? You're in park, we're just hanging out. Imagine we're parked at the DMV.
Yeah.
Our goal is to be able to pass the driving test in any California DMV. So it doesn't matter that we're not at a DMV, right? Because we're not teaching to pass the test, we're teaching to be a good driver, right?
That makes sense.
So here we are. Okay. So let's just say you put on your left turn signal.
Oh, yes.
And then they'll look at the front and back, and then you'll turn it off. And then you'll put on your right turn signal, and they will look, and then you'll turn it off. And they'll say, please put on your emergency flashers or your hazard lights. Always a red triangle with white triangles inside. Yes. Go ahead and turn that off. They'll ask you to put on your headlights. In our car, that's twist forward, 1, 2, 3.
Thrice.
And then thrice. I like that. And then twist back. Do you remember on Aviv's Volkswagen, it was a little switch on the dashboard?
I'm not sure I remember about that specific car, but I've driven cars where it's a little switch on the dashboard, and sometimes it's confusing. And I'm like, there's simply no lights in this car.
Yes.
And they're just down there.
Yes, so different brands, specifically the German cars apparently use like a dashboard thing.
They want to make you work for it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then
sorry to the Germans.
Let's tap the foot brake.
Just
you're just going to release it and tap it, and they're just going to be back there making sure your brake lights work. Perfect. They'll also say something like, how do you put on your windshield wipers?
And then I'll put on my windshield wiper.
Perfect. They might say, without putting on your windshield wiper, show me how you would. In which case you would just put your finger there. Exactly. Okay. They will say, point to your defroster button.
Yes, which in this car is this one.
You got it. International symbol, warm air, blowing up. You got it. Nice. They will say, honk your horn. And go ahead and do that, even though it feels really weird.
I'm going to scare this person.
Perfect. That was a very nice little honk. The fun thing about taking the driving test, you might remember, is when you're in line, you see all the people ahead of you doing all this stuff too. So it's sort of like a cacophony of noises.
Cacophony?
Cacophony?
Yes.
No
cacophony is a car coffee.
Oh, car coffee.
Yes.
So I made an accidental pun.
Can I make note that even though I know where all of these things are in the car and have been driving for 9 years, when you asked me where they were, I got nervous and then I second guessed myself.
Yes.
So it's very normal to get a little nervous. But just to trust that you know.
Yes. And also you can sit in your own car before the test and like when you're waiting for the other people and you're just like, okay, I know where everything is, right?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Another thing that they're going to ask you about is your emergency brake.
Yes.
Little foot pedal, and then release. Yep. And then they'll have you do your hand signals as if you are a cyclist, which you really are.
I recall this is left.
Yes.
And this is right.
Yes. And then stop.
It's a tough one.
It's awkward, yeah. But let's say your brake lights failed.
Yes.
And you had to tell people that you were going to stop. You'd be leaning out going, I'm stopping. And it would be awkward, but hopefully that will never happen. Yeah. Do you use your hand signals as a cyclist?
I do.
Thank you. That makes me feel good. Yes. And you always wear a helmet?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Okay, good. All right. So we just did the pre-drive checklist. After the pre-drive checklist, the examiner comes and gets in the car with you. You make sure anyone who ever gets in the car with you has on their seatbelt. And they're going to have the handy-dandy score sheet open on a clipboard. They record throughout the whole lesson, you might recall.
Oh, I recall very well.
Yes.
Yes.
When you get a perfect score, they put a little circle. And then if you make any errors, you might remember they put little lines.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do we want to let anybody in on the family joke?
I did very, very well on my driver's test. No, I think it's something like 16 points off that you can...
You're allowed to miss 15.
You're allowed to miss 15, and I missed 14.
Yes.
And the driver said, I can tell that you are not comfortable in this car, but I'm going to pass you anyway.
Yeah.
I had just returned from summer camp, or maybe that was the permit test. I don't know. One thing I'll note about... I was definitely performing. Like, someone had told me every 2 seconds to, like, change which mirror you're looking in, and so I was driving, and I was like, oh, and I wasn't driving for myself and to feel comfortable. I was trying to do you should do what is expected of you, and you should be meeting those expectations, but I was just like not staying comfortable and at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they could tell.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you're able to reflect on that. What were you about to say something else?
Also, I stopped at a 4-way stop and waved someone else to go, and then got a point off for that, so.
Unnecessary stop, yeah. You were being too polite and too cautious.
Polite.
Yes, I get that.
But yes, let's move on.
But since getting your driver's license, I just want to say you are also van certified.
It's true.
And someone told you were the best
golf cart driver they'd ever seen.
Oh, that just pleased my mommy heart.
Yes, it's true.
So even though you got nervous on the first driving test, you got your license, you're a great driver. And I just think that's really important because there are a lot of people that are so nervous.
And yeah, it's a skill that you learn and you practice.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So on the driving test, you assume straight unless people tell you to turn. And the people is obviously the person that's sitting here next to you. They're in charge of you. If you're in a situation where you have like emergency vehicles or a construction worker and they have a sign and they're waving you on, then that sign it trumps the printed signs. You got it. Okay. So our first maneuver is going to be please enter the road when it's safe.
Okay.
And then we'll turn right at the stop sign. And I appreciate so much how you're checking all your blind spots, keeping track of the people.
There's a lot of bikers around here, so there's a bike lane right here, so I'm being especially careful to look. Oh, and the pedestrians.
You got it. Since you noticed the pedestrians, you stopped for them, and that is perfectly reasonable.
And I wait until they're all the way across the street, despite my... And the truck behind me honked.
Well, I would like to address the all the way across the street.
I can go.
You're doing such a great job. Let's talk it through.
Okay.
Because in your neighborhood, there are medians in the middle, you wait until the person gets to the median.
I like that.
And then once they're safely crossing to the other side, you can take up your space on your side of the median.
Okay.
If we were on a neighborhood street, like if we turned right here, we would wait till people get all the way across because there's no safe space for the pedestrians.
That makes sense. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In some states, it's just the practice to have your lights on all the time. Not in California. Do you have any would you say it's just good practice to have them on all the time, or would you only say if it's cloudy or rainy and nighttime?
Yeah. Well, definitely all those times you just said, right? You checked all the requirement boxes: cloudy, rainy, nighttime. Parking garage, I want to add. It's dark in a parking garage. Tunnel is also a law thing.
So true.
But I guess it would just be a personal preference. I know a lot of people leave their lights on auto, and that just...
I'm just noticing that the truck behind me has this.
Yeah.
There's, all these... Oh, yes, this light always sneaks up on me. I was just gonna point out there's all these, like, what are they called? Outdoor seating, and so pedestrians are often hiding behind those, and it's hard to see.
I love that you are thinking about that.
As someone who mostly walks around here, that's always something that I'm nervous about.
Do you find yourself peeking out to make sure the cars aren't coming?
I do.
Thank you. Well, we're going to keep going straight on this 2-lane road, and we're going to practice our first lane change. So the way they say it on the test is they say, when it's safe, make a left lane change. They want to see you do all your good work. Would you like to describe what you were looking for?
Yes, I'd love to. First I looked in my rearview mirror to get a little overview of the road behind me, which I should already know because in theory I've been looking and remembering the whole time. And then I guess, well, first I looked in my left mirror and then I put my signal on, but could I have just done my signal after the rear view mirror?
If I check my rear view mirror and it looks wide open, then I continue with my signal as I'm going to look at the side mirror.
Okay.
But if I notice it's all big and crowded, then I don't put on my signal at all.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go now.
Right. That car just changed lanes in the intersection, which you're not allowed to do. Just pointing that out.
You're definitely my daughter. I do a lot of pointing out other people's stuff. When it's safe, make a right lane change.
Okay. Can I do some personal feedback for myself in that
absolutely.
moment? Which this is a bad practice that I've picked up in the many years since getting my license, is I tend to change lanes as I'm turning my signal on, and really what I should be doing is putting my signal on for 2 or 3 seconds before changing lanes, because there's no point in it's not doing anything if I'm doing it while I'm changing lanes. I just noticed that I did that in that moment.
I love that.
I'm gonna try and do it.
Good for you. Yes. The rule is, I think it's 3 blinks, or maybe 5 seconds, and the idea is
3 blinks is definitely less than 2 seconds.
You think maybe it's 5 blinks, but the idea is that you're meant to leave it on while you're checking mirror blind spot, so that way the other people get a chance to notice you. You got it. Next, we're going to make a right turn over this bike lane.
Okay. Here?
Yeah.
Is that the ice cream truck that's always fun? No.
So we just completed the left and right lane change portion of the exam. It's always going to take place on the busiest road nearby your local DMV. And usually you just spend a couple minutes on that kind of busy road to do the lane changes. And then the rest of the test is in a residential area. So we're going to spend the next few minutes just practicing safe right and left turns. We'll go all the way down to the T, and then we'll turn left.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's talk about neighborhood speed limit. What's the neighborhood speed limit?
We were talking about this car on the road. Oh. The neighborhood speed limit is... I feel like this is a trick question.
No.
20.
25.
Okay, but...
And then it was just 15 over the bumps because of that. And I love this opportunity to use the white stripes. Thumbs out to the edge of the stripes, all the way out.
What do you mean? Like here?
Yeah. And that is our perfect visibility spot.
Really? It sort of feels like I'm in this lane.
I know, it feels weird, and I'm glad you're talking about it. I can tell it was the perfect spot because did you see how nicely you dropped on your side of the yellow?
Good drop.
But also, I trust that they painted it with attention to the length of my car.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we're going to practice that again. At the next tee, we're going to turn left, and you're going to be able to use the yellow stripes.
And that's after the first, stop.
Yep, first stop for pedestrians.
That was not a good drop.
No, wide turn. Their tires went over. The right and left corners for the pedestrians. Creeping out to your visibility spot. Nice. And the idea, oh sorry, what were you going to say?
Nothing.
No, it was good.
I was going to say if I was by myself and not filming a video, I probably would have gone between those cars. But would that have been bad?
Well,
I feel pretty sure that I would have made it, but...
Well, let's turn left here. The rule in life is you only want to turn and enter into the road when you will not disturb the flow of traffic. So if what you're feeling is that you could have turned in and accelerated to 30, which is the speed limit there, without disturbing the flow of traffic, then that would have been okay. When you're on your driving test, and especially because it's only 10 minutes long,
You gotta do your best work.
you really want to show caution. Turn left at the stop. And here, how many stop signs do we see?
I see 3.
Exactly. So we don't have to do that second stop. And then we'll turn right at this T. Nice. So we've done our left and right lane changes. We've done a lot of right and left turns. We did our right turn over the bike lane.
I'm noticing there's no lines here, so I'm doing my best to remember where the lines were.
Exactly. It became more intuitive to creep up to the visibility spot. Excellent. So the next big skill that you're going to be assessed on is the pulling over and parking, and then reversing 3 car lengths. So we have to go until we can find the perfect spot. So we're going to keep going forward. And when you're on your test, your examiner will find a nice open spot, and they'll say something like, please pull over and park on the right-hand side behind the last car.
Here could be.
And you'll do signal.
You want me to do here?
Yeah. Mirror, blind spot. Nice. Nice. I love how you didn't use their bad example and get too close to the curb. Did you notice their tires when you were pulling up?
I didn't, because I was mostly just looking for my own.
Yeah, and that's okay. I always look at the car ahead of me and I think, well, if they're over here and I want to be a little more, then I can use them to kind of position myself. But you're absolutely right. You use that right mirror. You got right on the limit line. You are perfectly straight, and you've given yourself room so that when you reverse, you don't have to worry about getting close to the curb, because bumping the curb is an automatic fail. All right. When you're reversing, your priority is to look over that right shoulder. Let's go.
Okay. I feel like I don't want it to beep, so I want to ask this before it starts beeping. Yes. I learned that the thing to do when you're reversing is to do a cheeky little right arm over the back.
Yeah.
But is that not the practice anymore?
It is a practice that some people might want to use. If they do that, it's because they really want to remind themselves to look behind. I advise people to keep their thumbs parallel, because you want to have awareness of the steering wheel while you're looking behind you. And I feel like if people are like this with a hand here, then they kind of are more likely to wobble. That's my own personal feeling. Do you feel super steady with your reversing?
I do, but I will say that usually I think that I keep my hand in the middle.
And then you just keep it steady.
And then I just keep it steady.
Okay, if that works for you, it's totally a strategy.
I'll do
the
it.
idea.
I'll do it this way.
Okay. And the important thing is, every now and then. Nice. And keep going back.
I started getting nervous that I was
No, you're doing great. Little speed bump for some fun.
thrilling.
Behind you the most. Keep going back.
Yeah, I don't want to hit the plant.
We're really okay, I promise. Yeah. Nice. And a little closer to the right. You got it. Keep going back. And stop. All right. Car and drive. And they'll say something like, please re-enter the road. And we have officially done all of the skills that one is assessed on for the driving test. The last little bit is that they'll always have you return to the DMV parking lot and park in the parking lot. And depending on the type of parking lot, it could be diagonal or perpendicular.
There's a DMV near here if you want.
But we're not going to go to a DMV.
No. God forbid.
We are going to go to some parking lot. So let's turn right at the light and we will go find the closest parking lot to do some parking lot driving.
Okay.
Isn't it kind of weird that that's all you have to do to get your driving license?
Yeah, it's a bit, it's easy, I suppose.
And when it's safe, we go left lane change. We're going to turn left at the light.
Okay.
Since this is our first unprotected light at a busy light, I just want to review all the important things. On a left turn, which way does your wheel face?
What do you mean?
That one's a trick question. It faces straight.
You mean before we turn?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you never want to turn your wheels because then if you get rear-ended, you get rear-ended right into traffic.
I love the way that sounds, except not the part where you get rear-ended into traffic, but the part where you know that. I like that. Thank you.
Yes. I'm always telling people that.
Are you? Are you ever with people and they start to turn their wheels? Do you find yourself correcting friends when they're...
Only if they ask.
Okay.
Or, I don't know. Or if it feels particularly dangerous, but no, I don't really want to.
There is a whole movement called the courage to intervene. And the idea is that if passengers, like if friends were speeding, or of course if friends are drinking and driving, just like the courage to say, hey, I need you to not. I bet you have the courage to intervene.
Would hope so. I also just get car sick, so I have a personal investment in slow, nice driving.
Yes, that makes sense. We're not going to cross here because it's the solid line.
Oh, this is a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to turn right into the Wendy's parking lot. So we only turn over the bike lane if we have dots. If it's solid white, we think about it like a concrete wall. And then you can pick any spot you want to park in.
I'm gonna do some,
I don't even think you need to.
Really?
Yeah, just straighten your wheel and then go up to your spot. I usually do kind of mirror to mirror if it works. I like it. Looking good. Press P for park. Power off. Elbow bump. Give me a thumbs up if you think you would have passed your driving test.
Oh, yeah.
Thumbs up. The only piece, because I also agree with you that you would have passed your driving test, but you could have lost it at the end if you turned right over that bike lane. That would have been an automatic fail, isn't that?
Yeah.
Like, you're a really good driver. So congratulations to Emma for doing a good drive. I love you, and you're still my favorite driver. All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you.